Sweet darling, that ain't the way you make love. You've been turning around uptown. You ain't some fancy clown. You ain't some fancy clown. You've been turning around uptown. You ain't some fancy clown. You ain't some fancy clown. You've been, I hear you in the background. Ooh, I hear you in the background. I hear you in the background. Ooh, I hear you in the background. You've been turning around uptown. You ain't some fancy clown. You ain't some fancy clown.
Yo, yo,
What's
yo,
going
yo,
on?
yo.
How y'all
What's
doing?
happening?
I can't
What's
call it.
going on?
Everybody looking good. Everybody looking good. Sound is good.
Yeah.
Michael check.
Sound good.
How we doing?
good.
How we doing?
1 2 1 2. My sound good.
Yeah, you
Sound good. Check one, check two.
Yep. 1 2 1 2. Back. What's going on?
good. I'm good. How are you, my
I
brother?
can't call it. It sounded good. So
Brother,
y'all ready to kick it
how
off?
you make them get down. I got
Hey,
one
hey,
announcement
hey.
I want to say to our listeners and to you two brothers. The music that we play and that you hear, we have no copyrights to. It is not ours. It is not to be repeated.
Indeed. But we do want to just, set it off for just a half a second, just to kind of introduce us. So with that being said, beloved brothers, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, you now rocking with the finest 23rd Street. Stand up. Back alley fellas, come on. Hey. All right. Show feel good. You brothers doing well?
Doing good, man. How was your weekend?
It was gravy. I'm gonna just turn it a little down.
Thomas, what'd you do?
Just working on schoolwork, man. And just keep pushing, man. You know, I'm still pursuing it. I'm just pushing.
Yes, sir.
Heard
That's
that.
what's up.
Besides whooping my behind in fantasy football. We played each other this weekend, Mike, and
Okay.
I messed up.
Big brother got little brother. I gotta teach him. I'm a teacher. Gotta teach.
Hey,
Gotta teach.
it is what it is.
I taught him some of the tricks, but I ain't teach him all of them.
Teach them all. You know,
Can't always tell the right hand what the left hand is doing all the time. Can't do it.
Yeah. How was your weekend, Mike?
It was good, brother. It was good, man. I like I said, can't complain. Picked up my son from school. He's home.
That's what's up.
How was he? What's up? He's all right. You know, he's doing, as young teenagers do. They stress you out. You know what I'm saying? Kids, they stress you out. I sit back and think about, my mom's and all the stuff that she went through and all the things that she probably dealt with. And I was like, boy, if I could go back, I would, if she was here with me right now, I'd be like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for half the shit I put you through. You know what I mean?
So I do tell my mom that because I look back on the struggle, and I just think I'm like, how did she do it, man?
What in the world?
How did my mom do it, man? I just my hat's off to her. Praise, man.
Man, listen, it's serious, bro. It's serious.
Yeah.
So,
the Cardinals got their third win.
Oh wow, did they? The third win.
Yeah, they got their
third win. Hey, and he's rocking it strong too. They rocking it strong. And now they got I saw some about the postponement of the start of ball season or whatever.
I didn't see that. You talking about college ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been looking at it.
Yeah.
I know I seen that Laker lineup.
Boy, look at us.
Beautiful.
Look
Beautiful.
at us looking mighty fine, mighty fine.
So we might
Mighty
need to
fine
get into
indeed.
this. So
Yeah. So you know what we
Yeah.
do? You know, one time
Welcome.
for one time, one year. Yeah. Welcome. Brother Pat, shoot it. You got anything you want to shout out anybody?
First of all, I want to say rest in peace to my brother, my beloved, that I always cherish every moment with Reggie. And he's always
Oh man.
with us.
So fat
Hello
blood.
to you two brothers. And I want to tell all the listeners, welcome to the BackAlley Fellas podcast. We really appreciate you.
Motherfucker.
We're gonna have a really good discussion today. What about you, Brother Six?
I just want to say, what's up to the listeners, and appreciate you brothers for giving me the time and the opportunity to join you brothers on this worldwide post movement that we're doing here in this time. And I don't want to take up any time from my homie MD, but I wanted to let you two brothers, man, I love y'all, man, and thank you for everything. And I want to thank the listeners for tuning in and just hang around with us a little more longer. Mike, what you got, baby?
Love you back, brother. Love you back. Well, peace and salutations to everybody. Like my brother said, thank you. Our first time listeners. If you been tuning in, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Continue to support us. Continue to invite a friend, to invite a friend, to invite another friend to our podcast, and let us know how we doing. Let us know what's going on. To my brothers, I like to say, give me 5 on the black hand side. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to be with y'all. I enjoy this. I enjoy the build. I hope that everyone takes something from this, because we're not saying that we're experts by any stretch of the imagination. These are just our thoughts, 3 black men coming from the mud, having living out our purpose in life. And we just want to extend the conversation out. So hopefully you take what we talk about and you take it to your friend groups, and y'all send it out. Y'all expand it out, and hopefully we can build a better nation, a better black community, and so forth and so on. So before we get moving on anything else, we always want to know, not only with our brothers, but with y'all, what is in your cup, what you sipping on, what you doing. So big brother Pat, I know what you're doing for us today.
Today, I'm on one today.
Uh-oh.
Grey Goose and cranberry. There's a
whole
thing. You ain't getting loose unless you got that goose.
I feel like busting loose. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you got in your cup, Brother Six?
Same thing, man. I don't deviate. I stay straight. They say the shortest distance is the straightest distance, and I'm already there.
Where you at?
If I'm not, I know you brothers got me, and you're gonna meet me halfway.
Yes,
I got
sir.
that vodka. I got that vodka with a shot of water, with that H2O. Keep that balance. We're searching for the monsoon.
Yes, sir.
Brother Mike. Okay, I ain't gonna leave you out. I know you got that granny tea.
Yes, sir. You know what I got? I got that granny tea, little peach crown, some honey green tea, little simple syrup. Stir it up real nice, put a little ice, and it's good. You know what I'm saying? So with that, before we go any further, we want to let you know that when we started off, when you know that the BackAlley Fellas is in the building, you'll know, because we set that toast off, and we want you to join in with us. And so with that, Big Pat, let's get it.
Bottles, glasses, cups that are plastic. Alleyways backwards. Perfection takes practice. Friendship turned kinship. 2/3 of the street dynasty.
Now check this out. Brotherhood from the neighborhood. This podcast is going to be a classic. Of divine state of mind, of movement sublime. On the rocks, brother, give me something strong, brother.
I can give you a mixer, a slice of lime. Everybody put your drink up. Now let's link up. It's nothing but love in this atmosphere. Peace and salutations, brothers and sisters. The fellas, we in here. Cheers.
Boy, that Grey Goose is on one tonight.
Yes, sir.
So thank y'all for coming in. We gonna, we got something really interesting to talk about today. So I want to get you brothers. I'm really looking forward to getting your input on this. So
Well, let me ask you something before you get started, big brother Pat. Any news from the back alley, big brother?
you know, everything's been going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in this world. But brother Mike, can you tell us what we're gonna talk about today? What's going on in the back alley?
Yeah, so we touched on a couple of different things, and it's crazy how it fell in line. We've talked about a couple of things on our podcast, but this one in particular is the title of it per se is what are traditions, rites of passage, culture, and who defines blackness. So it's all encompassing. And to be honest, we may not be able to tackle this in one. It might be a two-parter, three-parter, whatever the case might be. But the essence of is right now, does the African American community or whatever we want to go by, more black, whatever you want to title that, do we have a culture? Do we have traditions? Do we have rites of passage? And if so, what are they? And do we have some things that we consider culture that we need to give away? So that's the topic. So
I'm gonna jump in there real quick, and then I'm gonna get up off of it. I'll let you, brother.
Please do.
Follow up, if you will, and walk with me on this. So what I've done was, and for our listeners, this was such a broad topic, if you will. I've taken notes, and I'm gonna be reading off my notes because there's so much, but I broke it down just so I can give a quick point of view from my opinion, and then we'll get off in it. So walk with me. So what I've done was I've taken the word tradition and the meaning for that, and from the dictionary that you read every day, in its terms, transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or facts passed on in that way, and also a doctrine believed to have divine authority, though not in scripture. The other one is a custom or a belief that is passed on from generation to generation, and it's done time after time, year after year, like eating turkey on Thanksgiving or putting up a tree on Christmas, which all of those, as we know, and our people should know that it's from our own Black culture. Our gifts, our way of life is where this comes from. So let's discuss just that, our culture. So that's where I'm gonna take off with, for instance, like our music, the clothes that we wear, the language that we speak. So let's look at this way. I'm gonna let me give a good example on where I want to get. Okay, I got it. So like a box of Crayola crayons. You got all these colors that come from one that they call a color, which is not really a color. It's kind of like the essence of everything, life as we know it, and that's black. And that's the way they broke that down. So for all of us who know that's a good example on where I'm started, where it originated from. So I like to get to the root of the matter, and we're talking about our traditions, our cultures. So where did all that come from? How was it existing? How did it come about? All of those things. So we're talking about the color and all of those things and how it actually happened. So this so-called tradition. So I'm gonna walk with that. I heard this one brother, as I was doing my research, he put it as like a gumbo. You got all these different seasonings and vegetables and meats and different things that go into one pot. So you got all of this mixture that makes one good pot of soup. And that's the way I look at it, as our cultures and our traditions on where it actually came from. So you have all these things who come up with one. So we're going to stick with I'll just give you one off the top of the head, one with our language. You got the English language that we're taught, that we speak over here as Blacks and from around the world. That you got these different languages in the way we speak. But to us, for some reason, as brothers, as we sitting here right now, we know, I ain't gonna say we like, but we don't get down like that. We don't talk like that. Like I'm talking to you now. This is just one example of a tradition, our language that we speak, or what they follow, what they change, whatever you want to consider it as. It doesn't coincide with how we feel sometimes. So I'm what let me put it to you this way. I'm fitting to tell you how we get down. Can you feel me?
So yeah, so you talk about like
So
a dialect.
for our listeners, what that means is what I just said to my brothers was, I don't necessarily feel like that is how I feel about this particular situation. That's what that means when I say to you, so I'm fitting to tell you, what's the get down, and this is, you feel me? So that's the way. Just one part of the traditions, the words to kind of explain, where I'm headed with this. Now,
Well, hold up, because I know you about to run. You know what I'm saying, and you running like a man got diarrhea or something like that. So we just won't pause. If you can hold it, you know what I'm saying. I want Brother Pat.
I'm gonna give you about 15 seconds because it's burning me. I want to get, man. This is heavy, man. I got some stuff for you.
I feel you, brother. I see you did some research. And the thing about it is, which is crazy, is that I too had looked up a couple of different things or whatever, but I wanted to get Pat in, because from an ALite perspective, I too was looking at the definition to kind of set the, to kind of level set where we were
like
at.
I said, this is on a personal level. This is just something I thought I would start with because, as we all just told it, man, it's so divine.
Yeah.
Like it's a divine state of mind moves something. Hey, brother.
Right. But here's what I want. I want us to make sure that before we take it different levels where you might end up going, that we make sure that that they get what our perspective so that we can all rise at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So Pat, from your perspective, where were you at? And then 6, I definitely want you to build back on where you were at. You know what I'm saying?
It's difficult for me, brothers, because of course, we all do our research. We all highly intelligent. We come from backgrounds where our parents, our grandparents were all highly intelligent. But truthfully, I don't think that we have any culture, any traditions. If you really think about it, everything we do currently, even with what Brother 6 said, how we talk is derived from a Caucasian culture.
Yes.
So if you make chili, you brothers, for a second. If a Caucasian man makes chili, and then we make chili, we add a couple more spices, maybe change the meat, put a little cheese in it. It's ours, it's how we do it, but it's still chili, right?
Right.
And we still didn't create it. I'll give you a better example, jazz. A lot of people say, oh, well, jazz is black people's music and this, but do you know that jazz was written by a man, I think his name was Robert Whiteman.
Wow.
And I'm not joking with you, but we I think we lost.
His name was Robert Whiteman.
Yeah, I'm about to tell you right now. My page, his name was Paul Whiteman.
Paul Whiteman.
His name was Paul.
I'm going. That's interesting because I'm going somewhere with that, and that's what. Oh man, because I like jazz, and I didn't know that. So go on.
If you go back to when we came here, we as a people, we came here. We come from West African roots, some form of fashion. West African people did not necessarily believe in Jesus and the Christian ways. They
Go ahead, bro.
They didn't. They were more in tune with nature.
Themselves and nature. Yeah.
and their spirit. But what we've done is taken what was forced upon us, well, not us, our ancestors, and we've made it our own. We took a music that they made and we made our own part of it. We took a dance that they created or some parts of it, and we did our own. Now, there were some mixture. So there were, and you got to remember, you got to keep this in mind, that during slavery periods and right thereafter, we were not allowed to read and write. Mm-hmm. Most of our history was told through folklore and storytelling, because that was the way we communicated. So they wouldn't let us write nothing down, write our own books, write our own history. So what our ancestors did was they told stories to their kids about Black people and things that have happened. So that's how our history was kind of recorded and moved forward each century, decade. Mm-hmm. So to answer that question, I don't think that we have a defined culture, tradition, or way of life. And I think that's kind of what is confusing us as a people right now.
So if I could add on, where I would differ slightly from you, Pat, is that I do think that we do have traditions and culture. But like you, I think that most of those are based on a foundation that is not basically ours. So I don't know so I do think we have them. Yeah. I think what we probably need to look at, well, we can claim it or whatever. I think what we should start to do is the things that benefit us and the things that make us whole or bring us back centered in the God order, we keep. Those that don't, we toss away. So when I looked up the stuff, I looked up traditions, I looked up culture, and what it described, and it was so what I thought was interesting in that tradition definition was it says it was customs and beliefs from generation to generation, which that stuck to me. Then you talk about culture, arts and other manifestations of human intellect regarded collectively, the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of particular nations, people, or other social groups. And then I looked up what rites of passage, and it said it's generally like ceremonies that mark important transitional periods in a person's life, such as birth, puberty, marriage, etc. Then I looked up and I said, okay, so a professor by the name of Manu Ampum, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that professor's name correctly. I referenced him when we did the Willie Lynch.
Where's he at?
I'd have to go back to my old notes to get that to you. But okay. I referenced that in him in relation to when we talked about Willie Lynch. And so he said that there were 5 major African initiation rites, which were 1, birth, 2, adulthood, 3, marriage, 4, eldership, and 5, ancestorship. And essentially what he was trying to say and what I looked up was that rites of passage in African societies mark the transition of the life cycle from birth to death. And it kind of gave individuals a sense of belonging and identity, and it gave them clear definition. And so, when you talk about birth and the naming ceremony, like so if we were to break this down, like before my twins were born, we had talked about the names. And so with my ex-wife at the time, we was like, my son was going to be Naeem Hamari Hakim Davidson. And then my daughter was Taliba Busara Falani Davidson, because each of those names was an attribute. And from that, those attributes were going to be what the name. So in the naming ceremonies, you would get with with someone, and they would kind of talk to the because in African traditions, we always believe that the baby was coming from the spiritual world. So you was trying to figure out what that child's name was. It's kind of like the song.
Like
You were trying to, well, you were trying to figure out, it was important to give them a name that they will be proud of and that describe their attributes and their purpose in life. And then you go to, adulthood, manhood, a marriage, eldership, which is different than being old. Because to be an elder and being old are two different things. You can go old, but to be an elder means that you had purpose, that you were looked upon it within the community, and then you had ancestorship. So the point that I'm making was similar to what Pat was going, is that I think that I subscribe to hip hop culture, and it's bigger than rap. It's this graffiti, it's breakdancing, it's DJing, it's fashion. These are the elements of hip hop. Rap is just one element of it. And so, I look at many of the things that we do currently, and I sit back and I say, I think that we because we don't have those, because those things were taken from us, and we don't understand the rites of passage in those different forms, we suffer. And so our community suffers because our name is just willy-nilly. And then at 12, 13, we're not taken from the community and taught about going into manhood or womanhood and our purpose within the community and so forth. And then you get to those levels, we don't do that anymore.
But are we talking about ourselves? Or are we talking about our community as a whole?
What I'm saying,
because that's beautiful what you did. But how many people do that? These Shashika, I'm gonna name my daughter Shashika Ruru and all that. I mean, it has nothing to do with our ancestors.
Well, no, I'm with you when you write, and I think what we were talking and where I was trying to go with both of y'all was essentially, I think that, and I don't know how, because again, what I found is the unfortunate part is the more times you try to talk to our particular people about their great, and here's the part. Pardon me for switching.
Don't believe it.
Well, it ain't even that. It's this part. Have you ever wondered? And this is just one of the things. People would go and say, I'm going to go. We big into tracing back our DNA, doing our ancestry. .com or African ancestry, all those different, which is great. You go back and you find out, I'm such and such percent West African, and I can trace it back to the Igbo or these particular tribes or whatever the case might be. And that's the extent that they take it. But they never go back and look at the spiritual systems that those groups that they came from, which is kind of what you were saying. And let's not get it twisted. Although there were some that, because at the time Christianity did make its way into that, we could say the same thing with Islam and so forth and so on. Those are not necessarily, and people can argue, those are not necessary. They come from us. They have their roots in us, but at the same time, they also are foreign and were used in many ways to take the spiritual perspectives of African cultures and then put on us. That's Islam. That's all of those Western or religions to a certain extent. So I always find it funny when people like, I want to find my ancestry and see where I come from, Africa, but never really look at the true culture, the spiritual aspects of it, to say, what are the things that I could take to do now, and I don't know how we get to that point of trying to get people to see that these 5 things, if we were to do those things, we could probably get someplace.
And
what say you?
One of the main answers to that goes back to what we talked about with the Willie Lynch letters. Is fear. Have you ever? I've even seen like churches or someone will do something and they'll wear like traditional African I've seen them like in the store And I've seen not just white people, I've seen how some blacks look at them like, you know, what you got on, you know. And so we don't really accept it. But you'll look at someone that's in traditional African wardrobe like that, but then you'll walk right past a dude with I seen his whole entire ass hanging out. Not just sagging. I'm talking about pants down on his thighs, whole entire butt hanging out. But you think that's normal? You just
that's prison culture that has now been
that's something we were taught. That's something we were taught by this other culture.
No. That ain't what we taught. That wasn't what we taught, Will. 6. That's not what we were taught. That's what
I'm saying. I'm not saying we were taught that. What I'm saying is we learned that. We were taught that by somebody else. Those are not our ways. Those are not our traditions.
I don't know.
That ain't the way we was brought up. We wasn't brought up to wear our pants sagging low. Not in our African traditions. Not that homo shape. All this stuff, this crazy stuff that's going on. Them are not our ways. You was taught this, brother.
Well, listen. I'm gonna put it like this. I'm willing to say this. I don't know what we don't know, because the truth of the matter is, we so far off our square that to be honest, we've assimilated so much that I can't say that we were taught anything. We accepted a lot of different things and we added on and did. Listen, in the prison, you never hear of white people in prison sagging or coming out and they sagging, right? But why is it that we do it? Or why do we take it? Because a culture in the Black community is cool. What we used to say, if a brother came home from prison, they'd be like, yo, I'm gonna shout out my brother who just came home, or my man that's locked down, you know, we holding it down for you. But the brother and sister that went off to school or went to trade school, we ain't never shouting them out. When they come home, we ain't never, oh, look at him. He think look at him. He get all smart. He trying to. So we made a culture of not being smart and being real cool and doing foolish stuff became our culture. And I'm saying that's not right and exact. It used to be in hip hop. We used to be with KRS-One, X-Clan, Public Enemy, Wu-Tang. It was cool. You know, if you was in the Nation of Gods and Earth, it was cool for you to know your lessons. The same in the Nation. I used to look at back covers of CDs and see. Now I'm dating myself, y'all. Don't laugh. I'm dating myself. And we used to go back and be like, shout out to the Nuwabian Islamic Hebrew Nation or the Nation of Gods and Earth. And I'm like, who is that? And then you do more science simple and you trying to figure that out. And then when you get knowledge, it was cool to be in a cipher just building on that. That was cool. That ain't cool no more. It ain't cool no more.
You ain't locked up or you ain't talking about bitches and hoes. That ain't cool no more.
You know
what
I'm
saying?
Know what?
Our traditions and our culture, our culture is so broad. Our traditions are so broad, and you can take that so many ways. What's happening is when you take those traditions or like I said, the root, our culture, and then you do that, they're only gonna celebrate and steal from. I'm sorry, that was a Fortanian slip or something. Listen. When what we're learning now and what we're talking about, they only going to celebrate and do what America's comfortable with. That's if it's going to make a mighty dollar for you to celebrate, then that's the tradition they're going to take. They're not going to take those others that's true to form for us. That's not going to happen. That ain't the way the thing is set up. And when it does that, what happens to our culture or what happens to our tradition, it's when it's stolen or when it's mishandled or not used properly, or it only fits to a certain, you spending this money to do this, and that money has watered down our tradition. It's no longer there no more. And that's what's happened to us. So, they taking our dance, they taking the songs, they taking all of these things. And if it fits them, then they making money off of it. It's a good tradition. Halloween is good. Christmas is good. But what do we know? We don't know our history. We don't know we don't even know why we celebrating Christmas. We don't know what Halloween means. We don't even know what a birthday truly means. How old are we really? So all of these traditions and things we celebrate, they've taken it and used it for something else. But back then, we couldn't speak on that like we're doing now. But
Right.
but because we on social media and we got this platform, now if you take the music, oh man, you done stole my stuff. I'm suing. So now we have the right now to say something and then get paid for it, if you will. But what are you doing? You're getting paid for something that you created. We are creative. We created it. We invented it. This is our ideas and traditions and cultures where everything created from. And that's what I was talking about from the very beginning. I was saying that, hey, one crayon in the whole box that all these other colors came from. And it's an essence where all these traditions, it's up to us and up to an individual to pick, hey, create a new tradition. Go back to your own. But whatever it is, you have to make a choice on what is right and what is wrong for you. But you got to do your research and your history of your own and of yourself before you can even know what a tradition is or a culture or any of that, a passes of righteous is, before you can even know what it, we don't even know what it, I don't even know what it is no more.
What was you about to say, Pat?
I'm gonna end with this. The true essence of life, you know, is from blackness into darkness, which comes forth light. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
True indeed. What was you about to say, Pat?
I don't know. Y'all get so animated.
Well, you got to match that energy, Bluff.
One thing is we got to understand what culture consists of.
Yes, sir.
The definition of culture consists of objects that a society has. And then society is defined as the people who share a common culture.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, culture and society are connected or intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
But where does our culture start? So we've talked about things that are in our lifetime or our grandparents or great-grandparents' lifetime. But is that where our culture starts?
No, sir.
Isn't that almost what has happened in history? Because when you go to the history books, it talks about slavery and the civil rights movement.
That's it.
So essentially, our culture is starting at slavery.
Well,
wow.
Yeah,
I'm saying in the history book.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
You're talking about the school system, Thomas?
School system.
Well, you know, they always, I'm saying, go ahead, Black.
What we're taught, how we act.
Yeah.
But that's not where it originates, though.
No, true indeed. I think, but you know, like I can't remember who said this, but it said don't let how did it say? Don't let school get away with your education. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I may be and I might have tore that up. But essentially, I do agree that the way that certain things are constructed right now, and that whole school thing and how that's a whole nother subject that we could build on.
Yeah.
But I also think that while many of our traditions, like so when Six talks about that one crayon and the whole essence, then I would say that the mistake that we often make is that if we are this, and if I was to recite, because I've never been, but I know it, you know, the saying by the nation, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Who's the original man?
Yeah, the maker, the owner.
Man. Yes, sir. The Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, God of the universe. Yes, sir.
God of civilization, God of the universe.
If you take that, let me walk with you. Go ahead, brother.
So if I say that, and then I start saying they, wait a minute.
Ooh.
Wait a minute. Now you contradicting yourself. Now you're gonna have to deal with self now. I ain't looking at nothing external. I'm asking you. You can't recite that, then say they. You're gonna have to show and prove.
Why is that, Mike? Explain to the listener, why is that?
Well, I'm saying if you are giving credence to the self, and your connection to the divine force, you know, I simply would say we are divine spiritual beings having a divine human experience. We're all connected and the one and the God force. But if I say that and I expand on that, and then I say that someone else is controlling this, that, and the third, or they've taken this, and so in essence, I know that my culture, my history expands beyond the tradition, because even within that slavery, I know that there's things in that were that nobody else could deal with. I know that there were things that we were able to come from that nobody else could get out of. But I know that we were way beyond that. We were at the beginning, you know. But if I say that, then everything started with me. Even this foolishness. Even this foolishness started with me. Now, it could be somebody else that's manifesting it, but all come from that. So I can't never say that they are not me. They just might be a different version of me.
Okay, so let me ask you this, brother. Let me pose this question to you, brother Mike,
Uh-huh.
on that same tip, and I've heard this once before, this conversation that you're carrying on. So where you're sitting at right now, you call it your home.
I call it a place.
If someone breaks into your home and steals your camera that we're looking at you on right now, is it his or is it yours?
I'm gonna pop their head off. It ain't gonna be nobody's.
That's my point. You feel me?
No.
I don't.
You can't break into somebody's other culture, take it and call it yours. I don't care how you twist it or how you call it coming from us. Once you break into a man's home, you pop his head and you take it off.
But here's the thing though. But here's the thing though. Here's the thing though, bro. And this is what I say. You got, if you're gonna do the knowledge, let's do the knowledge. Did they really come in? See, before they could come in, if you look at real historians, they tell you we were infighting before. Now we building on something totally different, and we off subject of that. But I'm just gonna say that before anyone could come in and do anything, we had already defiled our own traditions and cultures. So it was easy for someone else to come in and do it. And when we lost ourselves, it was easy for us to then take on someone else's traditions, partly because of fear, because we might have been killed, pardon me. But what we also recognized is we also saw the root of our original selves in those things. And oftentimes, like they say, you know, what was the saying one of the brothers talked about? They said in Cuba or in Brazil, it's 100% Catholic. No, it's 95% Catholic or whatever, but it's 100% Vadun or whatever. You know, basically what they were saying was that the African people practice Catholic. Because that was given to them.
Right.
But at night, they took those African traditions that they kept, and this is the music. These are the things that we used to do, and we interwove it into our music, our way of life, to hold on to it. But as it continued to water down and move from place to space, and we get over to where we at, now it becomes it's watered down to a point where now we have the ability that those didn't. Now we can Google, we can do whatever, and we can say, okay, wait a minute.
Well, yeah,
this ain't really working for us, but I ain't really worried about what they did or how they did this. I know that I lost myself. And so I'm not worried about that because I'm the parent. I was here first. So now it's upon me now, it's upon me now to discipline myself first and establish a tradition and culture for myself.
So in other words, African American culture is rooted in cultures from West and Central Africa.
Yes, sir.
And mixed with Anglo Celtic culture.
Absolutely.
So it's a mixture of West and Central Africa.
That bowl of gumbo, bro.
And Celtic culture.
Yeah.
And you're right. But the problem is,
okay,
we do not know self. So so how do we teach our kids? And see, like I started out saying earlier, is because during the slavery times we were forbidden to read and write. We passed knowledge through folklores and stories and tell. We sat up to our kids at night. We had to do it at night and tell them stories. But think about it. If you first generation slave right off the boat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Tell stories to your kids. Now your kids are grown. They're second generation slaves. The stories are going to change a bit, and it's going to be based on what they can remember, because these wasn't easy times. So these work 18, 19 hours a day. So it's hard to remember the details of some of these stories. So now you have kids. Now you're a third generation slave.
Can't see night.
And so every generation, our stories and traditions and cultures and histories were watered down. So it was easy for them to come in and say, hey, here's this, or not even for them to give it to us, for us just to adapt.
Just to adapt, just to survive.
Just to survive.
Just to say, if in order for me to eat, or in order for me to go get this job, I'm going to dress or be or whatever. Now what we do is
I'm not going to get a job.
It's so right. Exactly. So now here's what we do. You know, we'll get that suit. So we adapt. So now when we get the suit, we put that pocket square. We make it fresh. We gonna bow tie it up. We gonna look at. So it's some things that we could take and do. Here's the thing that what you saying, Pat, I think what you might be saying as well, sis, is, and I talked about this the last time, is that we got to get to a point where we champion ourselves. Because let's say Pat, you decide just on any given day that you're going to wear whatever, if it's a garb or whatever, something that you just created something that has tradition of African in any of the West African cultures, or wherever, East African, whatever you wanted to take, in Caribbean, here in America, you design something new. The interesting part, and I think the children are attempting to do this across the board. I think they're trying to do this. We just all in the way. But here's where I'm gonna go. You wear it for us because we've all been conditioned. For many of us, we frown upon that because we say, "What you doing?" Whereas the young people now, remember when we used to say, and I say this to my kids too, look, hey man, I don't know about the tattoo, you don't want to get none on your face, on your neck, whatever. But what you starting to see, you're putting color in your hair because you still being judged. But what you see in some of these people, and when you get in this tech world, they ain't wearing suits and everything. They wearing flip-flops and whatever, because it ain't that. And so when we talk about the meta nature or the hieroglyphs, the sacred writings, when you start talking about emojis and LOL and different things, you're creating a new language before our very eyes. And so for us in this traditional set, we frown upon things, but these younger people are like, man, they got earrings big as I don't know what, nose thing, and they just like, boom, we good with that. Y'all the ones that's tripping. Y'all the ones that's trying to steal. So I think that there's a new there's a new thing that's coming, a new paradigm that's trying to usher itself in. But I think that we still cannot lose sight of who we are and what we are, because there's things that have stand the test of time that our ancestors left us for a reason.
Already lost sight of who we are.
I think that's where he's headed too. I think he's right.
You brothers keep referring to losing sight. Have you ever stopped to think that it's already lost?
For some,
I do.
But like
what
Jordan,
though,
for many,
I think our youth is getting it back. They've gotten it. This new age of Aquarius, or information, if you will, is something that they just leaving us behind. Look how intelligent our youth are these days and what they're doing. We call it crazy and different. To them, it's new. It's what they doing and we didn't do. So it's like, yeah, Pat, you're right. We have lost it, but they're getting something that we're not understanding because it's so fast, man. It's happening so fast, man. But it's natural.
Hold on, who's we? You don't.
What do you mean by?
I understand it. You don't understand it. I understand it.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I understand or overstand or even understand. I'm just agreeing with you on the point that yes, we have lost it. We don't know. But what Mike is saying, and I'm agreeing with him also, is that our youth colors in their hair. Look at my hair. I didn't get that from me. I got that from them young cats. I said, if it's okay for them, it's okay for me. So the colors, the earrings, all of that stuff. Think back to your Western African traditions on what they wore with their garments. That's what they're doing now. I don't know if now. I don't know if sagging got something to do with that.
Right.
But where he headed with that, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's probably right, man. We probably lost our way, like you said, Pat. But maybe I'm starting to see these younger cats, women and men, are something different. And then I think back, I'm like, where did this come from? It had to come from.
It's up to us that really have or know, that has some semblance of knowledge of self, that as we matriculate into eldership, and at some point, hopefully ancestralship. But when we in that adulthood and eldership, we got to be the ones to kind of pass on certain things and make certain traditions and things cool again, so that as these young people progress and create paradigms, because see, here's the thing.
Okay.
Let me keep it funky. I love my African cultures, all the different things, and there's so many that I don't know. But here's another part. I think that sometimes when we're doing our vending and we're doing things, like some of the color patterns or whatever don't appeal to me. They just don't. It ain't fresh to me. So to me, you should be able to take certain things, like it don't make sense for you to wear whatever traditional Islamic garb or garb in a place where the sun, when you're on the equator, and I'm living on the East Coast or something like that, and I'm cold. That don't make good sense, brother. We supposed to keep elevating. So just because I tie back to that doesn't mean that I could wear that as a traditional garb for ceremonies or things of that nature. But do I know you see what I'm saying? I can freak it in a different manner, or we move past that. But there's certain cultures and certain things that we need to define for ourselves. And I think that if just a few of us in our own set, within our own families, start to establish certain traditions, certain cultures, certain things, even with our grandbabies or our kids, even at this point, that I think it can expand out, because that's all it is. It's just ideas that come out. Hopefully this conversation helps people.
And I agree with you, because we are the original creators of this thing. And like you were saying earlier, Mike, I agree with you totally. To kick it all the way real with y'all, man, we are the trendsetters. So Pat, I agree with you. Mike, I agree with you, brother.
I've been on this over half. You're going in and out. I've been on this earth over 50 years.
No, brother, I don't mean to cut you off, but that is the street lights coming on.
You see the street lights?
Yes, sir. So yeah,
we got a little bit. They just flicked it. They just flicked it just a little bit. They just flicked it a little bit. So we still got a little time. Go ahead, Pat.
I don't know one tradition that any of us have that I've seen from our ancestors. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I see a couple churches every once in a while do a African history day, and they'll wear, you know, I don't even know what they call it, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay, we're gonna get off into another subject. That's funny. There's gonna be a part 2 and a part 3, looks like, because I'm gonna hit on that just a little bit, Pat, and I'm gonna get up off of them. I'm gonna walk with you. Now, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna trot with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you one right now. The number system that you're using, brother, that comes from looking at the stars and doing it naturally by nature. From you growing from a little boy to a man and going through your life and giving what you're giving now to the listeners and to me, that wisdom, that is a tradition that's passed on that I can't pass up. With us sitting here conversating about things that should be studied and known. You ain't celebrating Christmas without really knowing what's going on. You ain't celebrating Valentine's without really going. The tradition is to tell the truth about this matter. And that's what we're speaking on, brother. That's another tradition that's passed down from our generation that's shown every day. It's truth. And that's what we're doing right now. I'm off of it.
Well, you know, I would say, I think I would tend to, I get where you coming from, Six. I definitely maybe would lean more towards Pat from the sense of when you look at the things, when I just break down, you know, the birth, adulthood, marriage, eldership, ancestralship. Like it said, adulthood is from 12 to 13 years old. So you look at, and I had some stuff, you know, because the street light is still good. It said 13. I looked up this thing from Global Citizen. It says 13 amazing coming of age traditions from around the world. And it talked about, you know, the bar and bat mitzvah, a bullet ant initiation from the Brazilian Amazon, the Amish coming of age tradition, Hispanic coming of age tradition. You got the Sweet 16. There's a couple of different things, but there was nothing, and they had some things from Kenya, and you know, the names I can't really pronounce, so I'm just telling you. But there was nothing specific for the African American. You know what I'm saying? Or the American African
Africans
that's on this planet, because many of those things we just don't know, we don't have to pass point, and really it's really going to be on us. And this is why some of these brothers like the professor and others have really tried to talk about rites of passage and put these things in writing so that hopefully others would go and read it. And I'll send y'all the link, and we'll put this in the link when we put this out, you know, on the podcast, so people can go out and take a look at that and maybe have these conversations with their families in hopes that they can, you know,
what they
just talk.
Do.
You know what I'm saying? And really build on this and get back with us. And if y'all want a part 2 or 3, then let us know. But and let us know what you think about this conversation. But as they say, and I know Brother Pat says is very well about that street light when it starts to flicker. You know, we got to make sure them steps is quicker. What does that mean to you when that street light come on, Pat?
Red.
That means it's time to get in the house. Say, Pat Jr. It's time.
Hey, listen.
It's always a pleasure, man. I really enjoy the conversation and the discussions that I have with you brothers. It's always enlightening. I always learn something, and I'm always willing to learn. So I tell you all that I appreciate it. For everybody that joined in and listened to this, I want to tell you I appreciate you. And we got more coming. This is just the top of the iceberg. We're gonna get real deep real soon.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you listening. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. Thank you for coming,
Yes, sir.
See us.
Brother Six, what you got, brother?
Do what you do when you do it. Make sure you do it. Walk it, talk it, be it. Always be about doing it. Improve self. Yes, sir.
Well, again, peace and salutations. I commend, like I said, I love you, brothers. Shout out to Reggie, Fat Blood. Love you, brother. It's always good to converse, to conversate with you brothers on a number of different topics and have conversation with you. I love y'all dearly. And I guess, you know, as we part and before we send our music, you know, I like to tell our people that something I remember, they said, the time is now and the week is new, and we'll have more podcasts for you, and you'll have things you want to talk about, and we shall too. Peace and blessings, salutations.